review. I feel like I've not done a dedicated video for a book in a while, purely because I have to really enjoy a book to want to sit down and film a whole video talking about it. Not to say I've not read some other good books lately that I mentioned in my November favourites, but this one, as soon as I finished it, I knew I wanted to do a book review, and that is always a sign of a great book. Firstly, just want to say happy last day of Hanukkah. I'm wearing this shirt which says Happy Holidays, and I think I may have worn this in my November favourites actually, now that I'm thinking about it. It is a different day, I have washed this t-shirt, but just trying to get as much wear out of it as possible for the year. But that's beside the point, and by the time I upload this video, Hanukkah probably going to be long gone. So let's actually get down to the book, and that is No Further Questions by Gillian McAllister. This is a fictional thriller. I really enjoyed this. This is the first book I've read by this author, I believe. But I've been on a real kick sort of this past year actually of reading thrillers, mysteries, even a little bit crime books, and this book surprised me how much I did enjoy it. I did give it 5 out of 5 stars, I will say that straight away, and I will read you the blurb on the back and then tell you a little bit more about it. So it says, the police says she's guilty, she insists she's innocent. She's your sister, you loved her, you trusted her, but they say she killed the one person you care about the most. Martha last saw her sister when she left her babysitting. Now she's watching Becky stand trial for murder. They are on opposite sides of the courtroom, hearing evidence that's meant to finally bring the truth to light. What happened that night, and does Martha really want to know? So, this book is told primarily from Martha's point of view, or Martha and her sister Becky. So I would say Martha's the central character in this book, and it starts with her going away on a business trip and leaving her sister in the care of her baby while she's away. They've set up this nannying situation where her sister can look after her baby for her while she's setting up her charity business. And she gets a call while she's away, basically saying the baby has died while she's in her sister's care, and that's where the story unravels. Obviously it then becomes a investigation, a possible murder case, and that is where this book is centred around, is the trial. So her sister Becky, who was looking after her daughter Layla, is up on the stand being tried for Layla's murder, and this probably spans about, the present day of it spans about a week of the trial. So it's really interesting because you see all the different processes of court. I'm not quite sure how true it is, obviously they may have had to change a few points. So it's really interesting the way this book shows the defendant side and the prosecution side, how they're both battling it out, and so you have that side of it where you are seeing the court case as it happens, primarily through Martha's eyes, and then you get the sort of flashback entries, not only from Martha on around the time of events, but also you hear from Becky, you hear from other neighbours, obviously when the witnesses stand up you hear from their point of view how they experienced that evening, and so there is a lot of different people towards the middle to end who come into this book, and you hear their version of events of that night. So you hear from all sorts of people, neighbours, people that were in the hospital. I found it really interesting to have all those little pieces be put together. Throughout this book you are constantly flicking between sides of who you think did it and who didn't. One minute you suspect everyone. Halfway through the book you're like, yeah, Becky definitely did it, there's all the motives for it, everything, all the evidence points against her. Then for another half of it you're like flicking back and forth like, no, she obviously couldn't do that, that's her niece. So it's definitely, it touches in with your emotional side, but also, you know, the hardcore scientific evidence of it, what the case is being put forward as, and all these other different characters come in, and then you start to suspect them. And literally every page in this book, I was just gripped, and every moment towards the end, like, I didn't know what happened, who did it, until finally, like, right at the end of the book. And that's what I really enjoy this book. Me personally, I'm one for sort of sometimes being able to sort of have my theories and get them possibly right, and you're sort of able to allude to what may happen in the end. I had no idea with this book. I thought it was brilliant. Just the way that it was written, all the little intricate bits that would pop up. You thought you had the case, or like, you thought you had the case sorted, and you thought you knew who had done it, and then the author throws in another piece of evidence or someone else's witness statement, and it throws the whole plot line off, and you're back to square one wondering who did it. So from that point of view, I really enjoyed it, but I also thought it was really interesting to see, you know, the parents grieve for their child, especially Martha, because she's put in such an awful situation where she's on obviously the side of her baby, but she's known her sister her whole life. She can't believe she would be capable of doing that. She trusted her so much, and she's battling throughout, and you can see how she doesn't want to believe the facts and the evidence, and you know, she wants to believe in her heart rather than her mind what has happened, whereas her husband is more sort of plain matter of fact, just believing what he's told, and obviously he has that less of an emotional family connection with his sister-in-law. So that was an interesting dynamic to see. And also obviously grieving for their baby, it also shows, I know this is a very extreme circumstance, but it does show how you don't always have that newborn baby bubble. It's not always smooth sailing for everyone. Layla, I know this had sort of quite a dark ending with her actually dying, but she was a very, she cried a lot for various reasons, and they took her to the doctors. They couldn't quite figure out what was the cause of it, and that was a very emotional and physical strain on Martha and Becky. And you know, that is the reality that some parents have to go through. Obviously everyone endures those sleepless nights, and you know, I've not had children, so I cannot stand here or sit here and say that I know anything about having a child, but I know obviously from hearing other people's experiences and what they've shared that it is not always sweetness and light. You do face your hurdles with having a child, and it was really raw and realistic, I would say. So yes, I'm not sure what else I can say on this book without giving away too much. I hope I haven't. In my mind, I don't think I have. But I'll be really interested to read something else from this author. She's got a new book coming out spring next year, so that will be interesting. But she seems to have a lot of great reviews, and I can see why. And I just really enjoyed reading this book. The characters really kept me gripped, and if you are looking for your next like thriller, suspense, mystery, this is definitely one to pick up, and I would completely recommend it. So needless to say, that will be coming up in my December favourites this month. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this book review. If you have read this book, let me know what you thought. If there's any books you think I should read or think I'd like, leave me a comment down below, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys!